Hey everyone, welcome to Adventures in Everyday Cooking, where every day can be an adventure in your kitchen. My name is Heather and welcome to day 9 of the 12 cookies of Christmas. Now, today is a good one. We're gonna do the Lebkuchen, which is a German anise and fennel flavored cookie. Now, before you turn this off, because you don't like black licorice, join the club. Terry over on Facebook requested that I do this cookie, and I have German relatives, so there's gonna be plenty of people to like this cookie, but I might not be one of them. But we're gonna adventure anyway because this is a fun recipe. It was given to us through Terry by his grandmother in her own handwriting. So I'm super excited to try this recipe, and I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. So if you're ready for this adventure, let's get started. So Terry's grandmother's recipe is really quite simple. It just says chuck everything into a bowl and mix it up. Now, I'm not sure what order we're supposed to put those in, so we're gonna use our best judgment and just mix it together. She didn't say to use a stand mixer, but I figured since I don't know what I'm doing yet, the stand mixer will probably be just fine. The other thing I noticed is there's no butter or oil in here. We have several kinds of nuts, like we have the almonds for the top, and we have the ground walnuts for the inside, but the only other fat we have are 2 eggs. So it's fine, but we're gonna do this. We're gonna have fun. All right, into the mixer, we're gonna put our sugar and our eggs. We're just gonna get that started. I'm gonna turn on custom and just go at the lowest speed for right now. And then we're just gonna start chucking everything else in. Whew. Okay, so I'll go ahead and put the vinegar in and all of our spices. So I have the ginger and the cloves and the cinnamon. I also have the anise and the fennel. I have our molasses, which I think I'm going to pause it and lift it up to put the molasses and the dark syrup in. Okay, well, let's drop that back down and start it again. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and stick in my salt as well. And it asks for our water and our baking soda to be dissolved together. So we're gonna do that as well. Mix that all together. When it's well dissolved, we will stick that in. That is a very wet mixture. That's fine. It's just not something I've ever seen before. We have our half a pound of nuts here. I could not find ground walnuts, so I am just gonna use our food chopper from Pampered Chef to whack the heck out of them. I mean, I guess I could have used my food processor. Hindsight's 20/20. It's fine. And then once I think it's properly ground, I'll just get it right into the mixer. Let's also do the citron. And we need this whole container, right? Yep, whole container of citron. So I'm gonna see what it does inside the chopper, but this may be a bad idea. Oh, actually, that's a great idea. So we're gonna do that to all this. It's kind of sticky stuff, but it's fine. All right, now that that's all in there, let's give it a little mix again. And I guess we will just go ahead and start adding our flour a little bit at a time. Now, if you're baking along with me, now's the time to preheat your oven to 375. All right, so stiff dough, eh? It's gonna take some muscle strength now. This is the number 6 cup of flour, right? I'll just sprinkle half. And then we'll see. because we're supposed to be able to roll these out. So I'm pretty sure I need that whole 6 cup of flour. It's a massive recipe. I better like these, Terry. Okay, I think that is probably pretty darn good. Yeah, that's stiff. Okay, that's how stiff it is. All right, Lebkuchen, let's do this. So what I'll do first, oh, I think there was a measurement. Hold on, hold on. Okay, that's a big kuchen. All right, well, we're gonna do the best we can here. All right, I'll flour up my hands and let's see if we can get these into a 2 by 4.5 inch kind of kuchen. Did it say how thick? Yes, it did. Hold on. 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch thick. Whew. So those are going to be, okay. Okay, that's about 1/4 of an inch. So now let's find our knife. Then we will take our little spatula and try to coax, okay, that's why you need well floured. Mine was probably not as well floured as it should have been. Okay. Maybe do it on parchment paper, and then you can just take off. Okay. Okay, my feeling is that it's not stiff enough yet. So we'll work in some flour here. All right, flour it up, man. Okay. And there we have 4 Lebkuchen. Then we are going to lift it up, bring it on over, and set it on our tray. And some of the cookies, like some of the things that I looked at online, some of them were actually shaped in circles. So I think it depends on your granny's method as to which shape they're in. But Terry's grandma said rectangles. So we want to make Terry's cookies into rectangles since he's the one that requested them. And I don't know how far apart on the baking sheet they're supposed to be, so we're just gonna guess. All right, let's do another set. Okay, so now that we have a tray of them ready to go, we need to get them into the oven for 10 minutes. 10 minutes, all right. Okay, do better spacing than me. Those are too close together. And in my rush to get them in the oven, forgot to put the glaze on them. So let's make the glaze. So the first thing we need in the bowl is 3 eggs. And we are gonna whip that up. All right, and now we're gonna need some powdered sugar. It didn't say how much. It says it needs to be milkshake consistency. I don't know what that means, so I'm just gonna add until it's a milkshake. I'm going to start with 1/4 of a cup and go from there. That's kind of milkshakey, so it took like 1.5 cups to 2 cups-ish. I stopped measuring, I just started adding. So that's a pretty good consistency. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to take this glaze and paint these with the glaze, and then we are going to put almonds on the top so they can be proper kuchen. I mean, the other ones look fine, but they're not, they weren't right. They don't have the glaze on them because Heather got too high on her britches. Now, once they are properly glazed, we will sprinkle some nuts on them, some sliced almonds. I'm not exactly sure how many. According to the pictures of the round ones, there wasn't a super whole lot of them, but I'll put some. Now into the oven for 10 minutes. Okay, I'm coming back on here before the cookies are done because the measurement in Terry's grandma's recipe, the cookies are turning out huge like this, which I think is wonderful for like presents or other things, but for eating purposes, I'm thinking that I want something smaller. So I got out my biscuit cutters and I did a set that were this larger one, but now I'm gonna do the smaller one. And the size is way much more manageable. And when I rolled the whole thing out all at once, I can just cut it and then get it right up off of my baking mat and put it right on my tray. Much easier and less fiddly than the last one. Honestly, when I was cutting out the other ones, the long ones, I thought to myself, I don't think I'll ever do this recipe again, even if I think it tastes good. But now that I'm doing them round like this, I may actually, if they taste good, this may become one of those things where I'm like, hey, y'all should come over and do these wonderful cookies with me. They're super fun to make because you just chucked everything in the mixer and there you go. So that being said, you do you. If you've done Lebkuchen before and you like them in a specific shape, then do that shape. But I'm thinking I'm a round girl. So I'll be back when they're all out of the oven and we're ready to taste them. All right, you guys, the cookies are done and let me tell you what I learned. First of all, the ones that we did not glaze actually turned out the best of them all. And that's because it had a little more flour inside of them. So these guys right here are the best texture, the best feeling when I broke them in half, which I'll break in half for you now. They are the most chewy, yet they have a crispy feel to them. They are absolutely fantastic, but they don't have the glaze or the nuts on them. So then the next one, when I realized, hey, I need to glaze, I actually didn't add in as much flour when I was rolling them out. And they got a little bit of an unfinished look to them. Let me show you. So I don't know if you can see, but it almost looks like some of the sugars didn't quite mix together correctly. Now, that being said, when you break into them, the inside texture is almost identical. Now, again, this is a humongous cookie. It's almost the size of my hand. Turned out really well, but I was like, that's still an awfully large cookie. The next round of cookies, I went down to the next size biscuit cutter, and you guys, these guys are the perfect Lebkuchen cookies. They are the perfect size, just bigger than the palm of my hand. And when you break into them, they have the crispy outside, yet the chewy molasses inside. Oh man. And then of course, because I had some offcuts of the little cookies, I did little buttons. Look at these cute little button cookies. So these guys are adorable. And I almost feel like this is the size I prefer in order to share with people, because the taste of anise and fennel might be overwhelming to some, but in 1 or 2 bites, they're able to handle it. Now, that being said, I did try a cookie off camera, but that's because my husband came down for lunch and he was like, ooh, those smell good. Can I try one? And I was like, yes, you can. He doesn't like licorice either. But he said the licorice flavor, that anise flavor, and the fennel were warm and they weren't off-putting. So it's not a cookie that he would spit out. Normally he would spit out anything black licorice, but it is an interesting cookie. Would he eat it again if he was offered it? Absolutely. Would he choose to eat it again? Not necessarily. What do I think? Like my husband, I thought that the spices were so subtle. You can still definitely taste the fennel and the anise, but they were so subtle that it was an acceptable cookie. And I really feel as though friends of mine who maybe don't like black licorice would still really enjoy this cookie. So I actually think I am going to keep this recipe, but I will forever be mixing way more flour in than I did at first. I'll make it into more like a sugar cookie rollout dough and only doing them in circles because that was super easy. I should have done that to begin with. But Terry's grandma said she wanted them in this size. That's fine, but I'm not gonna do that again. I'll do circles. Well, that's it, you guys. Well, if you enjoyed that video, give it a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel. I do videos several times a week, but right now, we have 3 more videos left in the 12 cookies of Christmas, and I have not picked those cookies yet. So if you have a favorite cookie that you want to see me try, leave it in the comments below because I'm only doing cookies that I have never made before, like the Lebkuchen. So if you have one that you're like, she probably's never made this one before, leave me a comment. I'll do some research, see if that's the next one. Otherwise, thank you, Terry, for suggesting this adventure. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye. And watch, I am gonna eat one. The texture of these is phenomenal. The flavor though, it's fine. It's fine.